Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Aaron Trevino here, and we have a terrific guest. We have the managing partner. We have John Scott. He's the managing partner of Scott Home Builders, Scott Realty and Group, and Scott Capital Assets. How's it going?
Going well, Aaron. Thank you.
Absolutely. I know we've had this. We've had this in the works for a little bit, and we had a few delays due to some allergies, but I'm glad that we're here.
Yeah, likewise. Pleasure to be speaking with you. Tell me a little bit about what you'd like to talk about.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna ask you the same question. For those of us who aren't too familiar, would you mind introducing yourself?
Certainly, yeah. Scott Home Builders and well, John Scott with Scott Home Builders and as you mentioned, Scott Realty Group and Scott Capital Assets. I am partners with my wife, Nancy, who I met 33 years ago at a uh, large home building company where we both worked, and uh, got involved in real estate coming out of college. I went to interview with the largest privately held home builder in Houston at the time for a construction management position. Ended up actually achieving a sales position and had the opportunity to work with their top sales trainer. That was about a year before the bottom fell out of the oil market in Houston. So that was a great learning experience selling homes in Houston, Texas, with interest rates at 14 to 16% and no oil market. Um, and been involved in real estate since. Real estate and home building. Actually been in real estate and home building for over 30 years, including working for some smaller builders, operating our own real estate brokerage, um, working for Fortune 500 home building company. That was during the last recession in 2007, 2008, when being in home building for a large corporate home builder was no fun. And I left there. We started our own home building operation shortly after that, during the depths of the greatest housing recession the country's ever seen. So I had a few learning experiences along the way.
Sure. It is interesting. I mean, two things you just mentioned, kind of being through two downturns, right? The one when the bottom of the oil market fell out, and you have those high interest rates, and also dealing with 2007, 2008.
Well, yeah, actually left the home building part of real estate for a while in 1987 to 1991 to start a real estate brokerage specializing in the sale of foreclosed properties. That was during the period of the Resolution Trust Corporation, the closing of all the Texas S&Ls, and just an abundance of foreclosed homes on the market. We had 10 agents that were working full time. We sold some new construction, no real resales, but the predominance of our business was by and large foreclosed homes, and then we also went through the downturn of the Great Recession in 2007, 2008, but managed to stay in real estate the entire time, as well as construction. We did do some flips. I know you finance flips, and we did do some flips during that time as well. Buying homes, we bought and held. We probably bought 4 or 5 homes during the extreme downturn, and those homes we still own today.
Sure, absolutely. So in terms of selling, I know you mentioned how you were selling some foreclosed properties versus selling those homes in the Houston market when the interest rates were high and the oil market was down. Could you kind of maybe share a bit of the differences between selling a foreclosed property versus selling a home?
Sure. It is totally different. Personally, I feel that realtors in general don't get the same quality of sales training that a new home sales professional would get from some of the top sales trainers when working for a large home building company. So that and having the opportunity to work with the top salesperson for this company, I think prepared me real well for what was to follow. I did go to work for a large national home building company after that, and that was, I guess, in 1987. There was another, a downturn at that time that reached from Houston up to the Dallas-Fort Worth market. Sorry about that. I left that national home building company where I met my wife, and decided to sell the foreclosed homes. And there was an area south of I-20 in Arlington that just had a lot of foreclosed homes, and home builders were going out of business. So I actually began selling those based on a new home principle. And I rented the vacant sales trailer of a bankrupt home building company on a corner on Matlock Road. And I actually ran a sign route that said U.S. government foreclosed homes, $100 down or $0 down, and directed them all to this sales trailer. So it was kind of like selling new homes on site, and people would come in. I'd give them some, some maps and lists of homes. They'd drive around and look at the different homes from the outside. We sold quite a few new foreclosed homes at that time. Actually sold a couple of new homes of other builders too. I had a commercial real estate broker, a friend of mine, that was working with me on the weekends. And then from that, as I mentioned, we grew up to 10 agents. No longer in the sales trailer, I had to move into an office. But it is different. When I was showing foreclosed homes at first, I had shown a few of them, and a lot of them were rough shape, green carpet and just a lot of drawbacks. So I thought, I was thinking to myself, nobody's ever going to want to buy one of these, because I was used to selling new product that was high quality. And I was getting ready to leave a showing. I was in my car, and the lady next to me in the truck rolled the window down after I'd shown them the property. She said, well, what do we do if we want to buy this? And so that opened up. I was like, oh, okay, well, people will buy these. And at those kind of terms, people did buy them. People bought a lot of them. But then the market turned around, and I got back into the home building arena, went to work for a smaller local builder who got bought out by a large builder, then a smaller local builder who ended up merging into becoming one of the largest home builders, one of the top 10 home builders in the country, and held an executive level position at that home building company at the time of the next downturn. And over 30 years of being involved, even from the sales side, I do come from the sales side, you do pick up a lot about construction. And I'm very fortunate that Nancy, my wife, I got a BBA from Texas State. She got a BBA dual major from TCU, and that was business, and then Spanish was her second degree. She's very technical and detail oriented. She actually runs operations for us. It's very good that she speaks Spanish fluently, because a lot of our subcontractors have Spanish as their primary language, and they feel very comfortable that she communicates well with them, and they like working with her probably more than they like working with me.
Fair enough. Yeah, it sounds like a great team there.
It has been a good team. We've been building our own home for 12 years. We've done semi-production. We've done complete custom, and we built 8,000 square feet under roof, multi-million-dollar homes in South Lake, and we've built semi-production, semi-custom homes in North Fort Worth, Keller, and Denton. We tend to concentrate on different areas at one time. It might be Las Colinas or East Dallas, around the M Streets, Lakewood area. Or right now we're focused more on the Colleyville market. We just completed or the Northeast Tarrant County, Colleyville, South Lake. We completed a new mid-century modern design that was a full custom in Colleyville this year. And we started the acquisition and total rehab of uh, 6,000 square foot home on a canal in the Lakes of Somerset in Colleyville. And so we've kind of gotten some traction now in the Northeast Tarrant County market, which is more convenient for us, closer to home. And we like the Colleyville South Lake market, although I'm still fielding inquiries from custom clients in Dallas and Fort Worth as well.
Okay, fair enough. So in terms of, maybe for those of us who aren't too familiar with the Dallas-Fort Worth areas or market or suburbs, could you kind of explain, what the Metroplex looks like and maybe where exactly it's growing?
Sure, sure. The Metroplex is huge, and Dallas is on the east side, and it's got its suburbs on each side. Fort Worth is west and has its suburbs on each side, and then um, DFW Airport is almost smack in the middle of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We live right next to the DFW Airport. We live on the western side, and we're in proximity to Colleyville and South Lake that have some of the highest income demographics in the country that actually have homes that are some 30 years old or more that need full rehab, and there's also still opportunities for new construction. The South Lake home that we completed was a demo and rebuild. In other words, it was a old structure there on the property that we removed. We've done a lot of that in the Dallas area where the housing stock tends to be older in the park cities and which is the University Park, Highland Park area, and the near East Dallas areas of Lakewood, M Street. So that's typically an older housing stock, and we have done demo and rebuild there. The South Lake was our first demo and rebuild in Northeast Tarrant County. The Colleyville home that we just completed was also a demo and a rebuild in Northeast Tarrant County in Colleyville.
Okay.
And demo is fun. It's kind of fun to go in and knock down a older home that's not architecturally significant. There's been opportunities when I've passed on good buys to buy quality homes that were in good shape. Most of the homes that we are demoing have no real architectural significance. They're older structures that are inefficient floor plans. They might have lead-based paint, asbestos siding, and lead pipes, things that I don't mind removing those and rebuilding a new, more energy efficient home, new efficient floor plan, and something that is going to be architecturally significant, because we do pay attention to that when we're building in the East Dallas market. We actually did 6 homes in the Stonewall Terrace community of East Dallas that was probably a 1940s community, but it was less expensive homes than were built in some of the other areas. So we were actually building architectural redraws of 1940s University Park construction that we would redraw and adapt to. They were 60-foot wide lots, so we could build a significant home on those lots, and we were staying true to the time period, but an upgrade of home with still yet that classic architecture.
Fair enough. So I know you mentioned how, doing a demo versus demo and new build versus just a new build. I mean, there's different components of that. Could you maybe explain, kind of running through your process of what it looks like from the time you demo until the time, your new construction project is complete?
Sure. Well, we typically would be demoing a frame structure. Sometimes that's sometimes there's a brick building. More than often, it's a frame structure. And typically, I send a demo crew through there to salvage before we demo. And I like to have as little waste as possible, even on a demolition. If some of that material can be reused or put to good use, then we just let the salvage group have that. And the salvage group in particular, I'm considering, also owns a salvage yard. So they will resell, reuse that property. Matter of fact, we might have to go back and buy something from them. And then basically a bulldozer just comes in and crashes down the house and then scrapes it and pulls up the foundation and the plumbing that might be in ground. Then we will go back in and regrade that property and uh, start a new foundation on that, be it a Pier foundation or if it's a slab on grade, and build up from there. We try to be very good neighbors. Most all the neighbors that we built around appreciate having us come in and improve their community, improve their neighborhood, and we're always mindful of their personal properties and their personal belongings. It is complicated, but through that process, we've managed to uh, uh, be one of the very small handful of custom home builders in North Texas that are 5-star rated by past clients. And those ratings are on the Google ratings, Home Advisor, Facebook page. So we always try to build each home as though we're building it for ourselves. And we always try to treat each neighbor as though they were our neighbor long term, because often they're going to be our neighbor on a custom home build for up to a year. And so we do try to have a good relationship with those folks. Erosion control fencing and keeping the job site clean. As a matter of fact, when we were building in the city of University Park, who has very, very stringent requirements, some custom builders were complaining to the city about their requirements, and the city inspector actually said, "Oh yeah, go by and see the job site over there on Lovers Lane," and that's where we were building, and that was kind of nice.
Sure, absolutely. So I know you mentioned something earlier about, pier and beam versus slab. Could you kind of explain what each of those would be?
Sure. Well, North Texas has a very wide band of clay that runs through North Texas, and clay is an expansive material, and based upon the amount of water it absorbs, it can expand or contract greatly. And most of the construction that's done in the area right now is new construction is on a post-tension concrete slab. And basically what that is that after the forms of the foundation, the wood forms are set up on the lot, and the beams are cut, they will crisscross the foundation with high tension steel cable that will run across each other throughout the foundation. Then we will set the concrete, we'll pour the concrete, maybe we use a pump truck or just pour it straight off the truck. We'll set the concrete in to form the actual foundation, fill the beams, and that provides stability to the foundation. Then after that concrete has cured, they will come back and one side of that steel cable is anchored in the foundation. On the other side, they will stress that foundation, and I believe it's 40,000 pounds of pressure, and then they will cap off that one side so that around the foundation, the steel cables are holding that foundation together, and provides what some refer to as a floating slab, because it's got a little bit of a give with it as earth expands and contracts underneath it. It's not, it's typically only performed on soils that, due to moisture content or absorption, have a potential vertical rise of less than 4 inches or less, which means that that foundation can move up to 4 inches, and the lower the better. And anything more than that's typically going to be requiring piers down to some type of a substrate or a rock formation underneath the soil that can stabilize that foundation. We built in some problematic areas, including Las Colinas, that were we built 4 custom homes in Las Colinas, which has probably got some of the worst soils in the country. And I think that if I remember correctly, we had a potential vertical rise in the soils there of about 8 inches. So that's going to require a pier. And we were actually one of the first single family utilizers of a foundation system that's now called Telefirma Foundation, which is a slab foundation that is got piers underneath. And I think we had 24-foot piers on that. And then then the foundation is raised up. And at the time it was called a Slab Tech Foundation. It's proprietary technology of Childress engineers who engineered it here. I find them to be the preeminent structural engineer in North Texas. And they were using this foundation for some townhomes and apartments and commercial developments, but we were the first single family home builder actually to be utilizing that foundation. It performed very well for us in that Las Colinas soil. So we continue to use that on some of our other high PVR locations, such as in our East Dallas projects.
Sure, absolutely. It's definitely interesting how different parts of, not only the Metroplex, the different parts of the state can have different kinds of soils.
Yes, yes. And actually in some places, like in Central Texas, if you go down I-35, you've got 2 different types of soils on different sides of the highway, and you can pretty much say that's all black gumbo, and you're going to sink down in it, and that's all shale over there, and it's you're not going to go anywhere. And I went to school at Texas State or Southwest Texas State in San Marcos, and in and around the Austin area, it's a lot like that. East of the freeway there is going to be a very expansive soil, and west of the freeway is going to be more stable. And I'm not an engineer and I'm not a geotechnician, so don't build your house based on that kind of observation.
Yeah.
It's important to have a soils analysis done on every property that you're going to build on to determine what type of foundation is recommended, and then to have a structural engineer interpret those soils analysis for you.
Absolutely. It's definitely crucial to have those good people around you, have that good team. One thing you also mentioned was erosion control when you're doing a project. What exactly is erosion control?
Well, typically when you do a job, you'll be removing any structures and scraping the vegetation on the lot. So there's nothing left there then to retain the soil. You have a lot of loose dirt, and with rains and equipment moving across that lot or that job site, then runoff might carry a lot of that sediment down into the streets, which then go into the storm sewers, into our creeks and rivers, and the EPA doesn't like that, so they have got some stringent erosion control requirements that vary based on the completion level of the community. Sometimes you must have a completion of a erosion control for an entire community if you're building in that community with multiple lots. Sometimes if you're just building on one singular lot, you will just have that one singular lot erosion control. Typically you'll put up some kind of a plastic barrier. Sometimes it might be a material called a Curlex, which is sometimes you drive past development and you see something that looks like green on the ground. You're trying to figure out what it is. That's actually a biodegradable material. It's called a Curlex that might have some grass seed in it or something like that. And if you're developing multiple lots or building on multiple lots in a community, you're actually going to have to maintain a soils erosion book that the inspector can come by and inspect. And you're expected to maintain that erosion control during your entire job.
Absolutely. That's definitely crucial. I mean, obviously, kind of dealing with the EPA, dealing with your municipalities, the city, it's definitely something important to consider.
Well, yeah, everybody wants a clean environment, and sometimes these types of requirements and these laws basically are are important. I personally feel we have a regulation or a over-regulatory governmental system that creates a lot of added burden and uh, uh, fees, expenses on home builders, and there is a figure I think of if I recollect, I believe it's about $17,000 that various municipalities' ordinances requirements add to the cost of a new construction home in the North Texas area.
Okay. What specifically, what, I guess on that note, what other sort of challenges do home builders face from the municipalities and other fees that they're kind of incurring?
Um, well, typically there's an impact fee and a meter fee when you go into a new development where there's not been a property that's had a water meter before. And an impact fee is just kind of what the municipality collects to permit new construction, and that's going to basically be distributed based on what they say is the impact of that new construction. And I guess it goes towards roads and things like that. Some of those fees are excessively high, and it just varies by municipality. Some are very low. We're just comparing some of the impacts and some of the costs associated with two different bills. One we did on a new lot in a northern county, and one that we did on an established lot where there had been an existing home where those fees had already been paid, and there was a substantial 6-digit difference in the cost to construct those two homes. So there's fees and permits and things like that the builder pays when they start production.
Absolutely. So I know you mentioned how, maybe the fees were a bit high. They're kind of making a higher, making it a bit more difficult to build homes. If it were up to you, if you could wave a magic wand, what would you do to remediate that and make things better for builders?
That's a complex question. I've never thought about what I might do. We've got we've got a National Association of Home Builders, a Texas Association of Home Builders, and the membership that we have is a membership in the Greater Fort Worth Builders Association. Scott Home Builders was actually named Builder of the Month by the Greater Fort Worth Builders Association today.
Right.
And I got that information when I attended a board meeting earlier. I just think that we've as an association, I know our association has gone to some of the civic leaders in the Tarrant County area, discussed some of the proposed fees. A lot of taxing authorities feel that developers and builders are big-pocketed groups that can bear any expense and add that to the cost of what they're producing. Unfortunately, that does get passed along to the final consumer, though, and that's a factor in the increased cost of new construction. And I think if we can just talk to them and help them to understand that the impacts of this on the home buying public and kind of figure out what expenses they really need. Sometimes you can come to a resolution of what's necessary and what's equitable.
Absolutely. It's kind of a hard balance to strike, right? Giving enough incentives for builders and developers to go in and create a good product for people versus, also trying to keep things affordable for the end consumer.
Sure.
Absolutely. So in terms of other, building trends or things that you're seeing with builders, I mean, what are you kind of seeing in the Dallas-Fort Worth market?
Well, the Dallas-Fort Worth market has been red hot, and it's been red hot for a number of years, probably 4 or 5 years. And I was anticipating a slowdown in the marketplace in the fourth quarter of this last year. And we sold our last spec home. We didn't start any new spec homes. We went on a custom build by contract basis and started offering remodeling services, especially a complete home remodeling services, just to withhold our cash. And that looked really smart in February of this year. But in March of this year, pretty much anything that was started or under construction or finished started selling. So the market's been really red hot for new home sales. I think we had 4 months in a row of increases in new home sales. I just looked today, and it was Tarrant County had a 1.5 month of supply of homes available for sale, and that's very, very low. Typically, we consider a 6 month supply to be equitable, a balanced market. Anything longer than 6 months then is a buyer's market, and anything less than 6 months is a seller's market. 1.5% I'm sorry, 1.5 months of supply is basically, that means there's no homes on the market. Because if you figure the average closing is 30 to 45 days, well, the homes that are under contract ready to close are not yet even, I mean, if you calculate that into the 1.5 months, that basically means there's almost no homes to buy. But we are seeing a more of a transition towards the suburbs. We were concentrating a lot on inner city, close in. We are seeing a number of people that are considering moving out. We were going to do a complete new build, tear down, rebuild for an attorney in North Dallas, and actually in the city of Dallas. And during the process, he decided he didn't want to live in Dallas anymore, and he decided to move out to another South Lake property. And so we have seen a little bit of a migration out towards the suburbs.
Okay. What do you kind of attribute that to? Maybe that migration.
Well, I believe that's kind of going on across the country. There's people that a lot of that's due to the COVID, to the pandemic. People are wanting a larger living area, maybe with more removed from their neighbors, where they also have facilities for in-home entertainment and work from home scenarios. So the home office is important to people. More, you know, again, they just want a little bit more separation, not living right on top of someone else.
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. You know, especially you'll have a husband-wife duo. You know, one wants to work in one office, and they also want a second office as well.
Right, and that was the reasoning of the attorney I spoke about. This, they were going to. He said that he's a partner in a prominent law firm, and he said he probably didn't see going back to the office 5 days a week again, and that he could do a lot of work remote. He wanted something. That we had unrest also in some of the cities, and he wanted to be further removed from that. In a good school district, and a place where he felt that he could work from home and be kind of out of the middle of everything.
Sure, that definitely makes a lot of sense. It's a lot of different moving pieces in terms of
Sure.
different people coming from different states in Texas, people moving into the city, people moving out into the suburbs. A lot's going on.
We have a lot of people moving out of high-tech states. California, New York lead the number in the exodus, and Chicago is in a third place, and those folks are moving to Texas. They're moving to Florida. They're actually moving to North and South Carolina as well. But Texas is seeing a large influx of those relocations, and just that and the low interest rates. DFW is a strong market for jobs. It's a big job creator. I think will continue to be a job creator in the future. And the low interest rates plus our jobs plus people moving here from out of state are just going to lead to continued growth, in my opinion, in housing sales and housing prices into at least the third quarter of 2021. I think we'll continue to see a strong housing market, regardless of the outcome of the monumental presidential election that we have in less than a week. Then my crystal ball gets hazy as to what's going to happen as far as housing. But we've definitely seen a pandemic related increase in housing sales. And people have a variety of reasons of why they want to move, why they want to buy a home, where they want to buy a home. And a lot of it is actually beneficial to the housing market in the Texas and specifically the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Sure. That definitely makes a lot of sense. So, even post-election, post-2020, what do you make of 2021? What do you think it'll look like for the real estate market?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because at least I think it's going to be geographically determined, and it always is, because the real estate market is highly geographically separated. And even though I say people are leaving California, I did speak to a broker in the high desert area of California on Sunday, and in his $300,000 or $400,000 market that's in the desert outside of LA, he's seeing multiple offers, short times on market, offers over list price, just people moving out of the city. Some of those people will also be moving to Arizona, and some of those people will be moving to Dallas-Fort Worth. So I think that, again, because of the low interest rates and the high job numbers that Dallas-Fort Worth creates, that we'll see a strong housing market locally in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's also Austin and Houston, and the basically the Texas Triangle is going to continue to see appreciation in home values and a large number of sales, even I think up to the lower ends of the high priced market. And we've been dealing with homes that are $400,000 to $2 million. So we've been primarily exposed to the higher end of the market, and not the ultra high end, but certainly higher end. And I can see that continuing on into 2021.
Sure, that definitely makes a lot of sense. And even in terms of people coming here, people kind of moving around to different parts of the state, in and out of the cities. What do you make of kind of the low inventory that we have? I mean, is there any hope of us drastically increasing that inventory, or what do you think kind of the solution is?
We lost a lot of home builders during the Great Recession, and a lot of people weren't going into home builders. We have had an increase in permits. I believe we had an increase in new home sales every month until September, when it didn't increase. It did not increase, year over year for the month of September. But we've continued to increase our permit numbers, but I don't think that we have the capacity to create all to fill the shortage of homes. So just due to supply and demand, we're going to see an increase in home sales and home values for a while. We also are invested in multifamily and primarily B and C class properties in the Texas Triangle area. We are invested in Abilene. We're invested in Crosby, just outside of Houston, and that Crosby property is 100% occupied. We have a 94% occupancy on the property in Abilene, and in DFW we're going to continue to see high occupancies. And I think that the B and the C class properties for those not ultra high wage earners is going to continue to be in short supply too, because you just can't create new B and C class apartment complexes. And we've had a lot of creation of A class apartment complexes, and we've seen some reductions in rent on those. So I think we're kind of at market on the supply of the A class multifamily units. Probably we'll see some more, but probably won't see the amount that we've seen in the last 4 or 5 years come to market.
Sure, that definitely makes a lot of sense. So for you, for you personally and you and your company, what are you looking forward to in the future, the rest of 2020 and then into 2021?
Well, we've got a pretty large project with a 6,000 square foot home that's a total rehab, and we believe we're going to create a showpiece there. We'll have that on the market in January. We're looking at probably 2 or 3 new custom builds in 2021, and then we will see where 2022 takes it. We will have, I think we're probably going to shoot for 15 years. We've been going 12 years from Scott Home Builders. We're going to shoot for 15 years, but then after that, we've been in the market quite some time, 30 or 40 years at that point. I don't have anyone in the company that's going to take the company over. So I think we're probably looking at 2 or 3 custom homes a year for the next 2 to 3 years. And then after that, I think we'll be one of the people that's moving to Florida or the Texas coast and relaxing a little bit.
Fair enough. Well deserved, huh?
We think so.
That's right. That's right. Well, John, is there anything else that you haven't said that you'd really just like to hammer home?
Well, if anyone's doing this now, if they're flipping homes, or if they're doing new construction, I'm going to say that real estate is a great vehicle. The majority of the country's rich have come from a source of real estate. So if you're doing the flips and you're doing the remodels, wait for the right time, but set some of that income that you're getting aside, invest in your own single family properties and invest in multifamily real estate, grow your wealth as you're working, and take that income, put it to an investment source that can work for you in the future. I think real estate's one of the best investment vehicles that are out there. Anyone can become involved, and I would recommend that, especially those that are making their living in real estate, brokering real estate, remodeling and flipping real estate, to reinvest in real estate for the long term and build up an investment vehicle that will support you when you get to where you choose not to work or in a position not to have to work any longer. I think it's a great investment vehicle.
Yes, well said, John. Absolutely. So maybe someone's watching this, they really, what you're saying really resonated with them. They want to work with you. How do we get a hold of you? How can we contact you?
Well, you can email me at john@scotthomebuilders.com regarding new construction. We actually have an investment LLC that is Scott Capital Assets, and we will be syndicating some properties possibly in the future with those that we've established a pre-existing relationship with. They could email john@scottdfw.com regarding the multifamily property investment.
Okay, very good. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description. John, I've really enjoyed speaking with you. Learned a bit about not only what you do, a bit about new construction, different parts of dealing with the city, permits, and just home building in general. So it was great, and thanks for coming.
Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. I'm glad you had me on. I hope that we were able to cover some meaningful content, and that those that are viewing this will benefit from it in one way or another.
That's right, John. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.